From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2045, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, January 11th, 2017. As we reported earlier on Amateur Radio Newsline, plans have been underway to replace the VHF radio aboard the International Space Station, which failed this past October.
The Ericsson VHF handheld that is called the Columbus Module Home for 17 years came up with an error code as astronaut Kate Rubin's KG5FYJ was preparing for a contact with a school in Nebraska. She was able to complete the contact by using a radio in one of the Russian modules of the station. As a result of this radio's failure, hams all over the planet no longer have the capability of APRS and digipeating on VHF through the space station. JVC Kenwood graciously donated a TM D710GA mobile dual-band radio. Modifications have been made, and a special power supply prototype has been built to facilitate using the radio in both the U.S. and Russian modules of the space station. Production and certification are the next steps, which cost an estimated $200,000. This makes the urgency for the donations to the cause to be even more intense. Some local clubs have stepped in to help, such as my home club, the Bloomington Amateur Radio Club in Bloomington, Indiana. Those wishing to make a contribution should contact Frank Bauer, KA3HDO, at ka3hdo@verizon.net. Reporting for Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Neil Rapp, WB9VPG.
In Australia, there's going to be a new band at 60 meters, but when?
No matter where in the world you're listening to Amateur Radio Newsline, if you've been waiting to get a 60-metre contact of Ekeiland, you'll need to wait just a little bit longer. Although the updated Australian radio frequency spectrum plan was planned to take effect on January the 1st, the 5.3 MHz band is not yet ready for prime time. Administrative and regulatory details need to be brought up to date before the new spectrum plan can kick in. The International Telecommunications Union has already approved the worldwide allocation on a secondary basis for amateurs for the band between 5351.5 and 5366.5 kHz. There are still details to be ironed out, so be patient. Our regulatory body, the Australian Communications and Media Authority, has many T's to cross and many I's to dot before we can begin to QSO with the world on the new 60-metre amateur band at 5.3 megs. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
The Sisterhood of Amateur Radio has honored one of their own, a founding mother of the group.
Elizabeth Bigley, KD7RIN, has been honored by the group she helped create. Elizabeth, who co-founded the Sisterhood of Amateur Radio in Nevada, has become a recipient of its 2016 Legacy Award. The honors were conferred on her during the group's holiday luncheon in Henderson, Nevada on December 17th. Elizabeth has been part of SOAR leadership since it first came into being in July 2009. She is also president of the group's Las Vegas chapter. The Legacy Award honors women who have contributed to supporting the female involvement in the advancement and continuation of amateur radio. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jerry Goodrich, KF5KRN.
Ham Radio will help mark another 100th anniversary this year, up in the Great White North.
The Battle of Vimy Ridge 100 years ago is often called a defining moment for Canada. Though soldiers paid a terrible price with their lives, the Canadian World War I victory in France in 1917 is said to mark the real birth of Canada as a nation. Special event station Victor Echo 100, Victor India Mike Yankee, will be calling throughout each of Canada's 13 call areas from now through to March 30th. All of this will culminate in the actual battle commemoration in April, with stations located at the Vimy Memorial site in France operating around the clock. The special event was organised by the Vimy Commemorative Station Society in British Columbia. For details, visit ve100vimy.ca. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jason Daniels, VK2LAW.
For the rest of this week's Amateur Radio News, please listen to the full Amateur Radio Newsline report online, on a repeater near you, or on shortwave radio station WTWW at 9930 and 5085 kilohertz. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, Graham Kemp, VK4BB, Jerry Goodrich, KF5KRN, Jason Daniels, VK2LAW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5TW, saying 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.